When you allow yourself to have the creative freedom to be the person you want to be and not be locked into my identity is my relationship, that's when the best relationships flourish. It's because you're you and they are them. Not when you try and control them, try and get them to give you more of their time and their effort and their energy, but it's when you allow them to be who they want to be. Because they're going to come back to you and be like, I love you because not only do you let me be who I want to be, but then when I want to spend time with you, it's amazing too. You're a great addition to my life. You're not my life. When you have your own life outside of your relationship, that's when the best relationships are going to happen.
How you doing, man?
I'm great.
Yeah? Chilling?
I'm great, bro.
Wow. First time we've been in here in like a hot minute.
It's been so long.
It really has been.
Like 7 inches tight.
According to my watch, that counts in inches.
Look at this. Guys, Cal is so kind to me. Look at this bracelet he got me from Iceland. Isn't it beautiful? It's so cute.
Yeah, it's what I do for my boyfriend, you know. No big deal. But how you been, man? Good?
Dude, I'm really
good
good.
spring break?
I think, honestly, when I went to Florida, and I heard Joe Rogan talking about this when he was talking with David Goggins about, he originally asked David Goggins, he was like, do you ever go on vacation? And David Goggins was like, nope. He's never gone on a vacation ever. He
has no sense of vacation.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I was like, thinking about it, and I was, because Joe Rogan then was talking about how he went on a vacation, but when he goes on vacations, he feels like he shouldn't be. He feels like he should be working more. But then when he goes on it and then he comes back, he feels like more energized to do more and like get back after it. And it's almost like a good reset for him. And that's how I felt. I really felt when I went to Florida. And it wasn't like a passive vacation. Like we were out, we were doing stuff, we were golfing, we were having a good time. But I really think that the pause, really just. I don't know, it helped facilitate just creative freedom. And like a good example is like what we're doing right now. Like right now the podcast feels like sharp.
Yeah.
But it's because we haven't talked in a while.
Yeah, dude.
We haven't talked in a podcast
so
for a
fresh.
while.
Yeah.
Because when we're doing podcasts like once every other day, like we were in the summer, it gets hard.
It does.
Like, it gets
man.
difficult.
It does.
But like when you have that break, it sort of like recharges you. It sounds to me, I feel like for some reason I didn't believe in it. But
because it's not as habitual. You know what I mean? And it's like when, for instance, like I think you posted something on your Instagram yesterday about how when two people leave each other for a while, right? In a weird way, like let's just say you're in a relationship, like a boyfriend and a girlfriend, right? And they're separate for a long period of time, but like they're still on good terms, whatever. Let's just say they see each other like once a week as compared to like every single day. When they see each other for that, however much time, right? That time they spend together it just feels, like you said, so fresh, so sharp. And it's like, oh my God, I love being with you. Rather than just continually running into that person, and it just becomes so habitual, right? So I mean, taking a more general approach, like when you do things like, for instance, like we did the podcast, or you're just going through the same motions every day, what you love can become so dull, right?
Yeah.
What you love can become so, in a sense, boring, right? Like you still love it. It doesn't feel like work, but it doesn't give you that same effect, right? So if I took like 2 weeks off video editing or 2 weeks off powerlifting, right? And I came back to those things rather than doing them how I have normally been doing them, like 5 to 6 times a week for years on end, it's going to feel like, oh my God, bro, like this huge part of my life is missing, right? So it's like, I think, like you said, it's like almost like you don't want to take those breaks, but they're almost necessary to realize how big of a role they play in your life and how special they are to you in order for you to really not only recognize that, but feel it as well too.
Yeah, I think, and this doesn't, to me, this doesn't apply to everything.
No, of
There's
course,
certain things that it doesn't apply to.
For sure.
I think there are certain things you want to stay habitual with, like, but the overarching idea that I find is scarcity creates value, right? And if you look at it in a relationship sense, where if you find yourself spending, like, here's a good example. There's a couple that lives in my building, and they live literally right across the hall from each other. Yeah. And they see each other every day. They're always sleeping in the same bed. They're always with each other. They're doing everything together all day, every day.
Yeah.
And then they find themselves in this position where they're like, I don't know why, it's so dry. Dumbass, you're spending every second together. You shouldn't be spending every second together. Even when you're married, you need to find times where you're being your own unique individual, where you're doing your own thing.
Yeah.
If you're working together all day, spending every second together, pissing and shitting together, you're going to get sick of one another, and everything's going to seem like the same stupid dry habit, because scarcity is what creates that attraction and that real pull towards each other, because you're not with each other every second, so you enjoy it more, right? That's why desserts are so awesome, right? It's a sugary, good feeling, but it's because you usually don't have it all the time, right? Here's a good example for me. There's a song, it's called I really love it. And I know the name of it. Fuck, I think it's called
It's by this person, and
I
it's
don't
like
know what it's called. Sorry, I'm getting pissed. I'm getting pissed.
you.
It's definitely called Secrets by One Republic. I think it's what it
Okay.
is. Nope. We're gonna,
I love this TV show. I just have no idea.
yes. You know the song?
Yes. Yeah. Oh yes, yes. Dude. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
This is probably my favorite song of all time.
Oh,
And
I just thought of something.
sorry,
Okay.
is it funny or is it
No. It's like it's really related to this.
okay? Well,
I keep continue though.
You'll notice something with the song is that I don't have it liked, and it's my most favorite song.
Yeah.
And the reason was this was a transformational moment for me. And I had no idea how
So it
philosophically.
was what? It was
A transformational moment for me.
Okay.
Because I didn't realize it at the time, but when I was in middle school, when I was listening to the song, was listening to my favorite songs and repeat all the time, what would happen is a new pop hit would come out, and I would put it on that repeat where you can press like a little one and it repeats. It's just the same song over and over again. And I'd love it. I'd love it. I'd love it for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And then what happens? Then it sucks.
Yeah,
Then it's poison to your fucking ears.
Yeah.
And then this song came out and I loved it. And I was like, oh my God, this is the shit. And I was like, I don't want to ruin it. This is like my favorite song ever. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to save it.
Yeah.
And I never saved it. And anytime it spontaneously comes on, or anytime that it comes up in some random, flip playlist, or anytime when I search it up because I want to listen to it once, it's so fucking amazing. It gives me the chills listening to it because I don't have it saved.
Yeah.
I don't listen to it on a regular basis. I almost never listen to it. And that's why it's one of my favorite songs, is because I don't abuse it, because that scarcity is what creates that pull, that attraction to that song. But the same thing applies to your relationships with your friends and your intimate partner and whoever. Where if you're spending every second with that person, you're not gonna appreciate it as much, and you're not gonna have that attraction because you're with them all the time. So that pull isn't gonna be there because scarcity creates value.
Yeah. It's so true though, dude. Like, cause I know, like, like that Pop Smoke song that I created. That's like that has been my jam in the gym. Like, and it just gets me fucking wired for like heavy sets. But like you said, I was like, oh, dude, this song's fucking. But I was give in to that temptation every single time, and now the song's like, yeah. Because remember the first time we listened to that Pop Smoke song, we're like, we're gonna make a basketball hype reel. We're like, oh my God, this is fucking awesome, but now it's like I watch back that hype reel, and it's just like. Yeah, it's cool.
Right.
But and like similar in that aspect, like, I mean, obviously, and I guess a couple ways you could see this. Like, for instance, like video editing. Like the first time I'm editing, like I could barely edit the video because like I'm just so mesmerized by like the vision in my head. I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna be so cool. And then as that starts to die down, as it becomes more habitual, right, and you just start continuing to play back the song, right, it loses that value, right? And it's like if you're in a relationship, right, and you can, and like whether this be friendship, whether this be boyfriend, girlfriend, right. The more you give into that temptation, right, of, for instance, spending time together, right? Like, of course you want to spend time with them, right? Like, of course, like that's like, there has to be some type of connection there, right? Of course. But like, for instance, if you're continually spending time with them in person with no breathing room, right? So like whether you're continually texting them, whether you're continually like just interacting, communicating, right? There's no break there. I just feel like so many people are just attached, right? And they feels just such a deep sense of abandonment, right? That they don't want that kind of feeling to arise because like, okay, let's just say I'm not talking to them, right? Like, oh, what are they doing, right? There's no trust there, right? Like there's such a lack of faith, right? Because, oh, you're good. How dare you?
It's a rock.
It's a rock. Like in my opinion, there's just such a lack of faith there in that person. And it really does show the level of where their relationship is at, right? Because if you're in a relationship, right, and you can go, I don't want to say forever, but like a really long time without talking to that person, and you can know, right, that like we're good, I'm not questioning whether they're trying to like schematically plot something against me, right? Or you don't need to talk to them in order to ensure the status of your relationship is healthy, right?
100%.
And so it's not saying that you shouldn't talk to them. It's not saying that you shouldn't check in with them on a daily basis, but it's important that you guys have that breathing room, right? Because not only will it allow you to appreciate your relationship so much more, but it'll also allow you guys to mature in such a great way
100%.
because You're not just constantly fixating on what the other person's doing. You're allowing them to have that breathing room separate from you and to, I guess you could say, go on their own individual path
100%.
that's not 100% aligned with yours.
Right. I think what happens to a lot of couples, especially with immature people. So like a good example is like with college relationships, where you have been hurt in the past, you've been cheated on, whatever.
Yeah.
And now you get into another relationship and you still have that fear. Right. So anytime they're out doing their own thing, they're out going out to a party or a club or hanging out with a group of friends or whatever, you have this like sort of tense feeling in you where you want to check in, like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? How are things going?
Yeah.
Are you talking to that boy? Are you talking to that guy or that
Yeah.
girl or whatever? And what you need to learn to do is to let them do their own thing
Yeah.
and then realize after the party's over or after the club's over or after whatever they're doing is over, at the end of that nothing happened, nothing bad happened. And that's how you're going to gain that trust back, through the repetition of them not breaking your trust
Yeah.
and the repetition of you not diving into it, trying to figure it out, trying checking their location. By resisting those urges over and over and over again, you're gonna build that trust muscle to that point where you're gonna be like, okay, although I've been hurt in the past and it's hard now, you allow them to gain your trust by giving them that trust. By not being like, okay, the way I'm gonna, the way you're gonna gain my trust is me breathing down your throat every time you go out to a party. No, it's I'm gonna let you go to the party and not text you the whole time, allow you to have fun, and then see at the end of it that nothing happened. If something does happen, take it from there. But you breathing down their neck, A, isn't going to make a difference whether or not they're going to cheat on you or do whatever. But B, giving them that space is going to allow you to learn to trust again.
Yeah.
Because it sucks, and I can't help you in the sense of fixing stuff that's already happened, of fixing or amending things when you've gotten cheated on or whatever. But you can now go through the repetitions of allowing yourself to give that trust to then see what happens. Because if nothing happens and then they're faithful and you actually know that you can trust them, but you just have an urge from your past traumas, then you need to let them do their thing. Because then when they come back and you see physically and mentally understand nothing bad happened, that's your brain getting these repetitions and being conditioned to trust this person. And until you decide to do that and face your fears and allow those traumas to be put to the side while they go out to the party or the club or hang out with whoever or do whatever, you're going to stay in that same place over and over again. Because the repetition of you breathing down their throat, checking their location 24/7, spamming them with texts and calls while they're out trying to have a good time and not trying to cheat on you, you're staying in the same spot because you're not giving that trust.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, for sure. Because what I was thinking about was like, it's almost like there is scarcity there, right? In your relationship, but you almost have to let go of that scarcity, right? Because like scarcity in the sense that you value the time that you are spending together, right? But also too, it's like you let go of the conscious realization that what you have is scarce, right? Because like we have each other, right? Like, we're not, our relationship isn't to the point where we have to be spending every single second of every waking hour together, right? Like it's not that scarce, right? In that sense, right? Does that mean we shouldn't make it scarce at times, right? Meaning, I don't like the word scarce. I don't think it's the best way to describe that, but like, if you can kind of get where I'm going, I think a better way would say, should we limit the amount of time we spend together intentionally, right? That might be a better way of saying that, right? And in that sense, like, okay, yeah, maybe we should limit the amount of time we have together, right? In order to appreciate every single time we do spend together, right? But I think overall, recognizing that through your relationship not being completely scarce, you can recognize that you don't need to be spending every single second together, right? And that you guys are on your own journeys, right? You're doing your own thing, right? And like you said, you can trust each other, right? And like, I don't even think you want to be in a relationship with somebody if you can't trust them to go do their own thing,
100%.
right? It's like,
100%.
I think also too, it's like, just because, I supervise a lot of like my own staff, right? And a lot of times I have the urge to just do things for other people, right? And I was just like, and I think one of the things that I lack as, I guess you could say, is I hate saying it, but like as like a supervisor, right? Is giving like the people that I oversee tasks to do, right? That I could do myself, but I need to lend that trust to them, right? And I guess you could say, allocate. What's allocate? Allocate, and what's the other word we've been talking about? Freaking God, it's like one of the things we would delegate. That's it.
Delegate.
Yeah, allocate and delegate certain responsibilities, right? Because they are there to help me, but I'm not using my resources. And I think just because and we're kind of getting to another area, like I just feel like I have so much to take on myself, right? And there's no one there to help me, right? And I don't constantly make that realization myself. And through that, I'm not using all, I guess you could say, the resources, the things around me that can help me
100%.
to as best as I can, you know? So
it's ironic because when you allow the subsidiary people beneath you,
in that specific area,
whatever hierarchy you're talking about,
yeah.
When you allow yourself to delegate and not micromanage everybody, then you free up creative freedom to make progress.
Yeah.
Because if you're spending all your time trying to get all the RAs to do this and make sure they're doing it the right way, and make sure they're allocating the right way, and asking them questions and micromanaging, then when it comes time to try and make Sam May a better building, which is the fucking goal of being the RD at Sam May, you're not going to do anywhere near as good of a job as you could as if you allowed them breathing room to do their own thing. And simultaneously, when you give them the breathing room, you allow them to make the mistakes so then they can govern themselves.
They learn themselves. Yep.
So then the people micromanaging them are themselves. You allow them to become autonomous, make the mistakes, learn the things they need to do, learn how to do those things, so then you have total creative freedom.
Yeah.
Because when everything that you have to delegate is fully delegated, and almost none of the time they have to ask you anything because they've made the mistakes and they've learned, now you have all this creative freedom to reach the actual outcome. Because your actual outcome isn't to have them, allocate for their program correctly. Your actual outcome is, how can I make this building fucking awesome? How can I make it better than it was yesterday? How can I make it better than it was the year before? How can I get more people to say, I want to live here because of X, Y, and Z? Because the people here are amazing, because the staff is amazing, because the programs are amazing. The best way you can do that is to delegate and give them the freedom to do the things that they want to do in the ways that they need to get done, but in a manner where they know how to do it without you breathing down their neck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because like you said, if I'm breathing down their neck 24/7, right? Or you even take this in a more general approach, like a relationship, right? Like if I'm breathing down, I guess you could say, my friend or my partner's neck 24/7, they're not going out and, I guess you could say, being themselves, for instance, finding out what they like, right? If I'm just forcing them to go to the gym with me, forcing them to video edit, right? Okay, cool. Like if they end up like liking all the stuff I like, fucking awesome, right? Because you want everyone to like what you like, right? Of course, but like we've touched so many times, like everyone has their own blueprint, right? It's a matter of if people are willing to uncover that blueprint, right? And of course, it's always an individual choice at the end of the day, right? But to start going on that path, but I think it's critical that if a partner can help their other partner understand that they have to get the fuck out of the way, right? And they're only standing in front of that person, their partner, to make that decision, right? To start doing things such as, I don't know, golfing or going swimming or, cooking, just finding out what they're passionate about. But you're not going swimming today. Like you're not cooking, like you're video editing, like, you're doing what I want. Right. And you're standing in the way of them making that choice. Right. So they can still make that choice, but you're just like grabbing them and you're like, no, video editing today. Right. Like stare at a screen, like rather than, cook some tofu or something like that,
being a tyrant will get you the short-term goals for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Right. The immediate example that I think of is when I'm coaching any client. Yeah. When you coach somebody or you have any sort of therapeutic relationship, the number one rule of thumb that you'll learn in any psychological practice is you don't give advice. You don't tell them the answers. You facilitate a journey where they find the answers and how it works for them. Because if you come to me and you have relationship issues or any sort of issues at all, and you want to figure out how to make them better, right away, I'll know, bang, this is what I would do in your situation, X, Y, and Z, go execute. That might work for a very small minority of people, but in the vast majority of cases, the best way to help somebody get better is to talk them through a journey and have them figure out for themselves what the answer is, the best way to get better, the advice that they need to hear, but from themselves. Because when it's your answer and it comes from you, then you're going to actually apply it because it's you. Yeah. It's not me demanding as a tyrant, this is what you got to do X, Y, and Z, so then you can get better. It's not going to work because it's not your idea. Because if it's not your idea, you're not going to want to do it. If it's not your idea to go video edit or cook or golf or whatever it is, you're not going to enjoy it because you're being forced to do it.
Yeah.
But when it's your idea, it's totally different.
Yeah.
But it's ironic because it can be the same thing, right? So like if I want you to go golfing, if I said, hey, let's go golfing, immediately there's going to be resistance of it's not your idea. But if we talk about golfing and we talk about how we love to do it, and then you're like, dude, we should go golfing, bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo. Now you want to go golfing because it was your idea. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Like you no, because like you're just so much more passionate about ideas that you have, right?
Right.
And it's like, I think, just kind of going more on like what we've been talking about today. It's just like when you don't give your partner or like who you're interacting with, a friend, like that kind of space to do what they want, right? Like they're just so suffocated, right? And it's really, really bad. You know,
Sickening.
it's sickening, right? And it's like, I think that's a lot of people too. And like I've experienced this, you've experienced this, right? Because it's so tempting to just, at times, like when you're not, like for instance, like when we were at the Big East, tournament, right? And we were filming like 3 days. We didn't have time to do all like our normal routines and
Right.
habits, right? So a lot of the time, like when we got into like different discussions, like I just wanted to force my beliefs on you, right? Like,
Right.
and there was, because of like, and I should have been more conscious of it. I should have been like more stuff like that. But like, you know, it was getting to a point where we were just spending so much time with each other, right? I was just like, I needed some space away. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, and I just like every single time I was like, I was very conscious of it. I wasn't letting it get to me. Like, but I had times where that resistance was built up and I was just like, there was a lot less, I guess you could say, empathy and patience
Right.
and be willing to listen to you, right? I just wanted to, for instance, be right or, for instance, have what I wanted, right? Like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I want what I want.
Yeah.
No,
That's
no.
what happens.
It does, right? And so
That's
it's
what
like,
happens.
and wow, it's crazy how this builds up. Like, we spent so much time together, right?
Yeah.
And like, I, in a way, just became so over time, and I don't take this in the wrong way, so self-absorbed, right, of what I wanted, right, that I stopped caring about what you wanted, right? And it's so true because when you take that time away from each other, right, you recognize how much you care about that other person, right? You recognize the relationship that you have, right? But as you spend so much time together, right, and it becomes more habitual, more and more and more and more, I should say the greater it's going to be a greater degree of you caring less about the other person, right? Because, and the more that you're going to start to be caring about yourselves, because you're just putting what you want in a fucking jar, right?
Yeah.
And there's only so much you can do to keep that jar down. Eventually, it's and whether that be you holding it down, whether it be the other person holding it down, you have to let that jar out at some time, right? So, and that may be you separating yourself from that other person, right? And then what do you know when you let that jar free, right? It's like, oh my God, it's like this weight off your shoulders, right? And then it's just like you have to empty your cup, right? And if your cup is constantly filled, right, you're never going to be able to spread your cup anywhere else, right? So it's, in a sense, separating yourself from other people will really allow you to care about others, right? Really allow you to do what you want, right? And still build great relationships and appreciate everything in your life at the same time.
100%, dude. It's like one of the reasons why I fucking love Rachel is because anytime like I want to do my thing, whatever my
it's
thing
sick.
is,
It's so cool.
it's complete just do it.
Yeah.
Go for it. That's it. There's never any ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah.
She's like she wants as much as my time,
Yeah,
as much
it's
of my
so
time and
cool,
energy
man.
as she can get, and rightfully so. And it's not like I don't have to compromise. That's not what I'm saying. But anytime I've got to do my thing, I go and do my thing.
It's awesome.
You notice how I'm not getting my phone blown up right now? Or anytime I go to soccer, I'm not getting 100,000
Yeah.
texts. Are there girls there? What's going on? Like it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. There's there's that fucking trust, and because she inherently has an understanding of when she allows me to be me and allows me to do what I want to do. That's what facilitates an amazing relationship between me and her.
Yeah.
Because if I'm doing me, then I'm going to be the best version of myself that I can be. And that's the number one thing that she wants for me, and that's the number one thing she wants for herself. It's like the most selfish and selfless thing that you can want simultaneously.
Yeah.
Because like think about the flip end of it. Let's say she's like, I don't have enough of your time. You have to pick one. You can either do club soccer or podcast, but they're taking up too much of your time, and I'm not getting enough. So you pick one. All right, fine. I'll give up podcasting. And then I'm talking to her on FaceTime, but I'm sitting there silent because I'm pissed because I know I wanted to do the podcast, and it's fucking me up because I can't do my content, and I know I wanted to, and I had great things to talk about, and now I'm resenting the fuck out of her because she's a proximal cause on why I'm not fulfilling my dreams. But that all comes from her giving me the space to do what I want to do. When you allow yourself to have the creative freedom to be the person you want to be and not be locked into my identity is my relationship, that's when the best relationships flourish. It's because you're you and they are them. Ironically, when you allow your partner to do their own thing, that's when the healthiest relationships are going to flourish. Not when you try and control them to try and get them to give you more of their time and their effort and their energy, but it's when you allow them to be who they want to be. Because they're going to come back to you and be like, I love you because not only do you let me be who I want to be, but then when I want to spend time with you, it's amazing too. Yeah. You're a great addition to my life. You're not my life. When you have your own life outside of your relationship, that's when the best relationships are going to happen.
Yeah, man. And yeah, that's just so true because it's like, I think it's a big thing I got to work on. You know what I mean? It's just like being very conscious of allowing people to have their space.
Right.
You know what I mean? Allowing people to do what they want, right? So for instance, for you, right, whether that be, I don't know, you like a videography gig going on, or like, and for instance, like, I don't think you're spending enough time doing video editing or something like that. I don't think you're spending enough time contributing to this. Like, you know, like vice versa. Like maybe there's some like just things in there, right? Like some things that should be looked at, right? But it's like if you constantly fall back into that kind of, I guess you could say, stream of thought or mindset where you're constantly looking at things from a point of view where you're getting discouraged or frustrated when another person doesn't do what you want, right? Like, understand the world's not going to conform to what you want, right? Even if you're like a freaking billionaire, right? Like, there's going to be, you can't control the external environment, right? You can't control what people want to do, right? It's like we are so similar, but we're so different at the same time too, right? Like, so for instance, like you like soccer, right? A lot more than football, right? Like I like football a lot more than soccer, right? And it's just like, that's just one instance of it, right? But like, when you're like, oh, dude, come with me to this soccer game, I'm just like, yeah, dude, cool. Like, or dude, come with me to this football game. Yeah. Or like, I don't know. Like, obviously,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Like, there's differences there. It's like, of course, like, it's awesome when your desires align, right? So for instance, like sports videography, like we're both all in, you know what I mean? It's like for us to find that is so valuable. Like it's beyond words. That's another episode for another time, but like understand that people have different desires, right? And allow them the space to pursue those desires. You know, it's just like it's just like when I was saying, oh God, a couple episodes ago, I forget exactly what I was talking about. I think it was on this kind of topic in general. It's like when you recognize people have their own blueprint, when you recognize people are all on their own paths, it's just so freeing for yourself, right? Because it's like, for instance, like when you no longer want to be right and you're no longer pursuing that constant attachment and you're just like, I want to just move toward the solution. You're just like,
right.
It's like this huge salvation, right? And you're no longer just so heavily attached to that outcome, right? 100%. You're just so much more, I guess in a way you could say, laid back, right? And you're just so more in love with the process rather than the outcome. Right. And you can just let people do them, and you can do yourself at the same time too. And there's great byproducts of that.
100%. Well, like the example you give about like, you know, sports videography, right? Like, you know, given our personality differences and, you know, who we are as people, there's gonna be a lot of conflict. Not even conflict. There's gonna be a lot of differences in the way we believe about going about things, like how we should do things. But the reality is our outcome is the same. We want to do the best job possible and have a fulfilled life pursuing a career that we find immensely rewarding. Right? So our outcome is the same. Our outcome is, let's go out there, build a great business while helping as many people as possible. Like, it's the same outcome, right? And if we go out to, you know, Foxwoods or Mohegan Sun, or we're going and filming something crazy and we're doing a good job, and I want to go out that night and go party and go to a club and have some sort of experience, but you're like, no, dude, we need the 8 hours of sleep. Maybe you need the 8 hours of sleep, and I need to go party and have a good time. And then I'll go on 2 hours of sleep and perform the same job and reach the same outcome.
Yeah.
Because ironically, if you say, no, dude, come on, fucking stay in. And then I'm like, oh, fuck it, whatever. And I'm resentful and I'm sitting there and I fall asleep and I get my 8 hours. I'm going to do a way worse job the next day because whether it's consciously or subconsciously, I'm going to be a fucking piece of shit because I'm pissed that I didn't go do the things that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right? The reason why I thought of that was because 9 times out of 10, I'm going to want 8 hours of sleep. I'm not going to want to go and party. But what it made me think of was the Dennis Rodman example. When Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen were in that fucking six-peat with the trio, they knew that when they had a stretch of time in between games and Dennis Rodman had a couple days to go to Vegas and go party and get his partying out, that they needed to let him do that. Because in order for him to come and give 100% at practice and 100% at the games, which he did, they needed to allow him to have a fucking long leash so that he could do his crazy shit and live his crazy lifestyle that he wanted to live. And ironically, their best strategy for Dennis Rodman to be the most effective on the court was to go let him party as much as they possibly could. And it worked. But the reason it worked was the same philosophy we've been talking about this whole podcast, which is they allowed him to be who he was. It didn't need to be Michael Jordan and a team of 4 other Michael Jordans. It needed to be Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Dennis fucking Rodman. And that worked out the way it worked out because they let Dennis be Dennis. They let him go fucking dye his hair and go crazy and go out to Vegas and gamble and have fun and, fuck a bunch of women. You get what I'm saying? They let him do his thing. And then their shared outcome of let's get another fucking ring worked. It worked. But the only reason it worked was because they gave him the freedom to be himself. And that was what facilitated him to give 100% and reach their common outcome, which is let's fucking win. They wanted to win. So ironically, their best strategy to win was to give him the biggest leash possible and allow him to do what he wanted to do. But the same thing applies for everything, for us in our business, for my relationship with Rachel. If I want us to have the best possible relationship, I need to give her the biggest leash that I possibly can while still maintaining a good relationship.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like we'll never talk and scarcity creates value, so we'll talk in 6 months. That's not what it means.
Yeah.
There's a fucking yin and yang.
Yeah.
But I need to give as much as I possibly could to allow her to do her, so then our relationship could flourish so that there's no resentment and then it's a great addition to each of our lives.
Because it's not my way or the highway. You know what I mean? It's like everyone has their own highway, dude. You know what I mean? It's like, because in my opinion, when you're just so stuck in that mindset of you're just like, my way is the right way.
It's the right way.
It's like you genuinely believe that too, right? It's just like, this is what I would do. There's no other way to success. But little do you know, there actually is, right? And I think you being understanding of that is just such a valuable thing to have, right? And it's like if you can not only recognize that, but allow others to do that, right? And just have that space and overcome your own desire to constantly be attached to them, constantly be on top of them, right? It's only going to make things harder. It's only going to cause you to not get what you want in the long term, right? So it's just like, if I didn't let you, for instance, go to club soccer that night, when we had to edit that video for Chris, right? Yeah. I mean, like, this is not like a fucking concrete example, right? But like, if I didn't like let you do club soccer, if I was just constantly on your back, like, dude, no, like, you got to be fucking doing this, right? Like, obviously within boundaries, like within reason, but like, or you didn't allow me to do powerlifting, right? Like, or something like that, something that we're so passionate about. It's just like you said, it's only going to create that resentment. It's only going to create more tension. And like you said, we have that broad overarching goal, common goal, whether that be to create the most successful business that helps the most amount of people, or to have the best relationship possible. Or so I think it's really about understand what your collective outcome is in this, I guess you could say, exchange, and understand that you are both going to go about it in your own ways, right? Like you have a common overarching goal, but your processes are different. 100%. And I think just really understanding that and recognizing that and then integrating it within your lives through your habits, your behaviors is really the key to you reaching that overarching goal.
100%. Fulfilling your life.
Yeah, man.
Fulfilling your life. The immediate thing that it makes me think of is like, I got to play by your rules and you got to play by mine.
Yeah.
And that's how we're going to have the best possible relationship, right? The only thing that matters is that our outcomes are aligned.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
We have the same philosophy on let's do this. Let's make the most amount of impact and make the most amount of money that we can while helping the most amount of people and prioritizing things accordingly. That's it.
Yeah. And I think it's an important note is it doesn't mean you're not going to suggest things, right? It doesn't mean you're like, if I see like you going about something, I'm not going to be like, hey, dude, this may be a better way to go about it. Like, you know what I mean? And we do that all the time. You know, and we have discussions about like, oh, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm not doing this, right? And when we have those discussions, they're very valuable, right? Because we've touched on this so many times within
100%.
this episode and other past episodes, you know, just having someone there to tell you how it is, right, in a concrete, objective way, right?
100%.
Having that kind of reflective person in your life, in addition to yourself, that can point out certain things and help guide you along your path. So, for instance, like, oh, Cal, maybe you shouldn't go to grad school. Oh, Cal, maybe you should stop trying as hard in school, right, and start pursuing content because that seems what you're very passionate about, right? And it's just like that is also very valuable too, right? So it's not you're lending a hand. You're lending a helpful hand, but you're not expecting it to be taken, right? And when you expected it to be taken, right, or you're not necessarily forcing it on someone, your attachment to that hand is not nearly as strict, and it doesn't have as much weight in your mind, and you're able to pull it back so much easier. So you'd be like, oh, hey, man, for instance, like, can you do this for me? But if you don't, that's completely fine. No worries at all. I'm just simply asking, right? And it's if you would, great. But if not, no worries at all. I'm not going to be mad, right? So it's just something simple like that, while also keeping in mind people do their own thing at the same time, too.
For our relationship to be as successful as it could possibly be, I need to play by your rules and you need to play by mine. But anytime I see you playing by rules that I think maybe aren't the best for you, not for me, I bring it up.
Exactly.
Like the whole grad school thing, it wasn't a me thing.
Yeah.
It's a, hey, man, I want you to be as happy as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to live the best possible life, and this is what I think from my perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
Do what you will with the information. This is just me thinking about what you might want for you, not what I might want for you, but what I think you would have as your best interest with your ideal. Nothing to do with me. Everything to do with you and your rules and helping you adjust accordingly to live your best life. But the second it becomes about me or the second it becomes about you, when it's my life, that's when things get fucked. Because you think people should be living or acting according to your rules. And that's why MJ, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman fucking killed it. Because they played by each of their own rules with the same outcome. That's why they killed it.
Damn, man. That's fucking 100%, dude.
Damn.
Yeah.
This was lit.
No outro needed, man.
No outro needed. Damn. You're so handsome.
God damn, I love you.
I love you too, bro.
Bring it in, brother. All right, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Damn. That was good.
Yeah, man, that was fire.
Damn,
dude.
Stay handsome.
Stay handsome.
Stay handsome, you fucking dirty dogs.
Damn.
It's a rock.